everybody, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Anae's Food Show. I hope you get to enjoy the show I have in store for you today, so don't move as I'm going to be talking about catfish. Catfish, which is very similar to mudfish. And here in the Northwest, most of the mudfish we consume is either smoked, but we don't typically consume it as fresh fish. So I'm going to walk us through a simple recipe on how you can prepare catfish for your family. And it is the new craze in Bamenda to raise fish. It is good because you can grow your own fish, harvest it, and have fresh fish for your family in no time. So don't go very far. Get a piece of paper, pen, tea, coffee, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Keep yourself alert. Don't move. We'll be right back.
Anae's Food Show, your favorite food and lifestyle show. The assurance for your well-being.
To get our seasoning ready for our fish, we're going to do a grilled fish. Now this recipe, you can either do it grilled or you can do it in the oven. Either way, it will still serve you well. So to get this started, we'll grind all the ingredients that we need to go into the seasoning separately, and then we'll chop up a basil, onion, and garlic separately and add into the dish. So we'll go ahead and start this process. Here I have about a teaspoonful of black pepper, or a little bit more. It doesn't hurt to have more. And then I'm using what do you call aneve, or well, English name dill spice, or rice spice. Either name goes well. You can find it aneve, you can find the market as aneve or rice spice. So we'll just have like a half a teaspoon there, or a very healthy pinch. And then we'll add some thyme. I'm going to grind that thyme. You know, thyme is an herb, but it's been dried. So when it dries off, they just rub it to get off the leaves to use as a seasoning. So sometimes you get a lot of these stems in it. We'll just pick those out. You don't really need it in your dish actually. So we'll just get a healthy, good pinch of it. So I will say it's about a half a teaspoon of it in there. And then the spice that is most loved with fish is njangsa, and it's used all over Cameroon. And so we have some njangsa here, and I'm gonna just use about 10 grains, something like this, not a whole lot. We'll just put that in there. Now all our spices are combined. To get it ground easily, we'll add some salt, but I'll just begin the grinding process. Now if you have an electric grinder, like a coffee grinder, coffee mill, you can just put it in there. Makes life a lot easy, and you can get it going. Okay, now I've got it all cracked up. I will add my salt. Now salt is, because salt is really grainy, it's going to actually help in the grinding process here. So I'm going to do a very healthy pinch of salt here. I have about 3 very big fish, but you don't want to overdo it because you don't want to oversalt your fish either. So just combine it. The salt actually helps the grinding process and reduce the particles to a very fine powder. So what I'll do then is just place that. See these stems I told you about, they're really not good for your dish. You don't really need them. So if you can sieve them out, it's just when you buy your spices, it comes with it. So unless you buy your thyme, which is already in jars, which those companies that package spices like that will filter it and will take out these stems. But when you buy from the local market, you buy everything. So I just handle my stone and just push my seasoning right into the pan. Actually, I'll just do that, dust it right in. It's quite a heavy stone. If your stone is heavier, then you can scoop it off and put it in your pan. Now, I'm gonna start with garlic. I have about 3 cloves. Now this one now, I would want to chop it very fine. I tend to just roughly, coarsely chop my garlic, but I'm gonna chop this now to a very fine piece. You know, having a food processor can make life a little bit easier in the kitchen. But for now, we're just doing it practically to show you that you can absolutely do it by hand and it will turn out just fine. Okay, in the process of chopping now, I'm going to continue chopping by adding my basil, konmanju, and I'm going to put a lot of it. So I have some beautiful fresh leaves here. I have some which we harvested a little bit earlier, and I'm just going to chop it all. I'm going to use all of them. I just love fresh basil. I'll chop it over the onions over the garlic rather, because I want to continue reducing the particles of the garlic. So I just have it together in a bunch, and you know how we slice arrow. I don't slice arrow, but you know how we get it really tiny. It's a special skill to slice arrow, honestly speaking. But we'll keep slicing it. One of the advantages of growing your own fish at home is that when you change water from your fish tank, it is actually manure. And instead of just letting it go away, you can just have a small garden. This basil is from my garden because I use the water from my tank as manure for my garden. So you can have this at home fresh. Look at these beautiful fresh leaves of basil. So you can grow a lot of things in your backyard if you have the space, using just the water from your tank, and you'll never have to buy fertilizer. Okay. There we go. Ooh, the smell of this fresh basil is just, ooh, awesome. Okay. Just bear with me as I cut this. Now, like I said earlier, if you have a food processor, you can just put it right in and it will go through. In no time, you have it chopped. Like you see, I don't want it like really like watery. I want chopped basil. I want to get the particles there. Okay, I think I've gotten it fine. Okay, now I'll just add this now to my pot here. Okay. My cutting board says an overfilled pot may break. This is not going to be overfilled. It will be just nice. Now this part, onions. You know me and onions. Onions hurt my eyes a lot. So what I've done is soak this in water for quite a long time. And hopefully I will not have to suffer from weeping eyes. So the onions now will have to cut really dicey, cut it small so that the particles are really fine. And here we go, we have our onions all chopped up. I made it without crying. Oops. There, I made it. So we get the onions into the pan. And go ahead and mix it all up so we get all the seasoning, the onions, the basil, and ooh, all our spices. And then I'll just add a little bit of oil to it. It's about 1/4 cup of oil. And again, just a little bit of water. Maybe just a little bit more water. Okay. Then just boil it down a little bit. Just bring it to a boil. It's just going to just cook the spices, so to speak, and release all the flavors and all the oils and everything. So that's the spices. So I'll let this just boil down a little bit, and when we come back, now we're going to prepare our fish and then get it ready for the grill. Stay tuned.
Anna's Food Show, your favorite food and lifestyle show. The assurance for your well-being.
Okay, welcome back. Now we've got our seasoning boiling, and we'll just let it boil for I let it boil just for a little bit, and then we'll season our fish. So I'm just going to add a little bit more oil to it. Keep in mind, this is a very oily fish, and we don't need to add too much oil to that. So while that is finishing off, the fish is already been cleaned out. So you just open it, gut it out, take out all the stuff in the middle. Nice, fresh, harvested fish. And these are quite big, actually. These, by weight, these are about 700 grams each, except this one, which is, I believe, about 500 grams or so. But they're quite big and healthy. So you can grow your own to this length. So we'll just put slits on the fish so that our seasoning will get right into it. And you have to be very careful because the skin is a little bit slippery. You don't want the knife to get into your hand. Okay, here we go. Now with the slits on, we'll just make sure we get it into the fish like this, so that the seasoning really gets into the fish, you know. The head is quite large cavity. So you just get the seasoning all over it. Now I have done something here you should take note. I'm using a spoon to get the seasoning onto the fish, and I'm using the same spoon into the fish and onto the sauce. Now food poisoning is very common, especially with fish. If I have to serve this again as it is, I will need to cook it again so that if there was anything that contaminated this fish that got in there, it will not harm any person. So sometimes we tend to minimize these little things, and then we end up with stomach ache, running stomach. You don't know where it came from. You know, you can even have E. coli, salmonella, some kind of food poisoning, and then you blame your uncle in the village, where it was just a little bit of carelessness. So we'll season that. When you season it, you can let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes so the seasoning really permeates the fish. And then when we come back, now we'll set our electronic grill. And we'll go right ahead and do some grilling. I'm not a musician, but I just felt like singing because I'm having fun with this fish. And I know you're also going to enjoy this. You just have to be brave to try something new now and again. I know we always grill tilapia or grill mackerel, grill any other fish, but very often here in the Northwest, we don't grill catfish. So I hope you get the courage to be able to do this. Don't go very far. We have to grill this and then we'll taste it and see what it is.
Anna's Food Show, your favorite food and lifestyle show. The assurance for your well-being.
Okay, we have our fish seasoned and we let it sit for about 15 minutes. In the meantime, I've got this electric griddle set up, and we just want to make sure that anytime you use a grill, it has to be very, very hot, because when you put your food on it, you need to have that sizzle. So when you put your hand on it and you can withstand the heat, it is not hot enough. So right now I can tolerate this heat and it's not really hot enough. Now we're not going to be able to get all this fish on this grill. So we're going to do it one at a time. I'm going to do one and then just to show you how it works. And then we taste the fish. It's good fish. So I'll take this one in the middle here and I just get that sizzling effect. That's, if you don't hear it sound like that, your grill was not hot enough. And so now you just let it, just put it on there and you let it cook on one side before you can turn it, and you cook it on the other side. So we'll just let that, we'll call it sleeping beauty. We'll just let it sleep in there. Okay, while our fish is being grilled, I'm going to prepare a side dish which we're going to serve with this fish. And again, I just really wanted to do that side dish. It's with sweet potatoes. Okay, I have about 4 good sized sweet potatoes boiled, and I'm just going to mash it down to a paste. And I will add to this, I will add 1 egg, a little bit of salt, oops, some garlic powder, I can smell our fish already, and parsley. So with the parsley, I'll just tear it with the hand, so it's not like too fine. Okay, I think it's about time to check our fish and maybe flip it over. So what you want to do is just make sure that it rests where it is, and then you turn it at once. So you don't keep turning it over and over. And when you do that now, we'll just add a little bit of seasoning to it again. So the spices continue to cook into the fish. It is a very delicate fish, so it cooks very fast. So with this now, we'll just put all this, mash it together, mix it. The fish is smelling rather delicious already. Okay, what is best to do with this is to work with your hands. So I'm just going to mash this in like this. And the egg helps to bind it. It's rather soft dough or paste. Now, in using that ricer that I used to mash it, all of it did not, like, you still have some lumps in it, which just gives it character, in my opinion. So then what we'll do is I just dust my hands a bit, take a little bit, and just pat it down like this. and then dredge it in a little bit of flour and set it aside. So I'll just do a little bit just to show you. It's just something different, so you're not consuming the same thing over and over and over. A couple more. Okay, we'll leave it at that. And I'll just let it set also. I'll just clean up a little bit. When we come back, we'll take off the fish, finish cooking the patties, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned, don't go away.
Anna's Food Show, your favorite food and lifestyle show. The assurance for your well-being.
Our fish is almost ready to come off, and it's been on here for about 15 minutes or so, and it's beautifully brown. You know, the skin is somewhat tough, so the skin really holds the meat. The meat itself is very, very tender. And the beauty is that when the skin holds the meat, it just cooks from the inside out. And so it makes it really soft and succulent. So I'm going to take this first one off. Then I can also get the next one on there. I can get another one on there actually. So it will be cooking as we're preparing our potato cakes. So nice sizzling. And I'll just add some seasoning onto it again. There. Okay, while that is cooking, I'll go ahead and make our potato cakes. I already have a pan heated up here. You can do it here as I'm doing, or you can do it on the side of your grill as I have this little one going here, but it will just take a little bit of time to do. The potatoes are already cooked, so you just need to cook it such that it is heated through. I'll just reduce my flame here a bit. I already have it, the pan is quite hot. So just swirl the oil around. And when your pan is hot, your oil doesn't take any time to heat up. So just go, may have to. There we go. Get this other one on. It's kind of tender actually. You can actually get 3 on there. So, and then this one I'll just place on the side of this fish to cook. So it should not even take up to 5 minutes to cook. You just want it a couple of minutes on each side, and then it's just gonna heat right through, and then you turn it over and it should be ready. So this first one is, see, nice and brown, ready to turn over, and you just let it heat through. Okay, and this is coming through well and put together. So while this fish is cooking, our potato cakes are almost ready. We'll put everything together and come back and taste it and let you know how excellent it is, so that you can make it at home and tell me how excellent I said it was. Stay tuned, I'll be right back.
Anna's Food Show, your favorite food and lifestyle show. The assurance for your well-being.
Welcome back to the show. I hope you've been enjoying it so far. We've got our fish grilled, another one on the grill, a potato cake, sweet potato cake ready, and I have an able person ready to also taste and tell me what this fish tastes like grilled. So I'm just gonna say we'll cut our protocol and you just go right ahead and you dive in.
Okay, let me start with the chicken. Okay. It's soft like.
Yeah, it's really a soft type of, you know, it's mashed potatoes in essence, so it's soft.
Oh, the fish is really tender.
Yes.
I'm eating a little more.
He's just eating, so I think that's a good sign. So the skin
Let me eat a little more.
yeah, okay, okay, keep on eating. And give me, before you take another bite,
Okay.
tell me what you think about the fish.
First of all, I think the seasoning is playing the magic. You know, in Douala, when you go to buy fish,
Yes,
there's this much thing they pour on it.
Ah.
Sometimes you get scared.
okay.
This was really soft. I mean, I'm feeling it right inside the flesh of the fish, like right
deep
even
into
down to the bones.
Excellent, okay.
It's really good.
Excellent. You know, the skin of the fish is just a little bit thick. So the skin holds the fish. And when it's on a grill, it actually cooks from the inside out. So it makes it a really nice, tender fish. So continue eating. Thank you for being a good sport and tasting this fish. I hope you've been able to learn a lot about cooking catfish on the grill. You can also do the same recipe, season your fish and actually put it in the oven on a high oven, hot, very hot oven for about 30 minutes, and it will still come out with excellent results. I hope you've been able to enjoy this show. And before I close out, I'll just say thank you to the Caisse de la Développement de Pêche Maritime in Douala, which is the agency for maritime production of fish. And they work with catfish and tilapia as well. Stay tuned for our next show and bon appetit.